What's going on, everybody? Alex here, Nickens Lawn and Landscape. In today's video, we're going to be unwiring and then rewiring a salt spreader. I had a lot of questions on this as far as salt spreader wiring and plow wiring. It's pretty much the same. You've got to get power from your battery to a controller, and then from the controller back to your spreader. So I've got a buddy over here that is going to be helping me unwire this harness, and then we're going to be wiring it onto his truck. Actually, he's buying a couple of spreaders off of me, so we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I'll save that for a different time, but for now we've got to get these salt spreaders off of my truck.
That's not rusted out or nothing, really. A couple spots in the corner. What did you buy that new? Or?
Yeah. No, I bought a truck.
Oh, you put the bed on this though yourself,
I bought
right?
a truck specifically for this bed, and I took the bed off and sold the truck. Yeah, turned out pretty good. I mean, it's not great, but it's nice. It looks shiny. It'll clean up. All right, so that should be. Did you snip that one in back?
No, I didn't do anything yet. I didn't know what you were doing.
All right, guys. So like I said, we've got basically a wire harness that runs up the frame into the cab of the controller, and you have another harness that runs from that controller up into the engine compartment to your battery. So right now, all we're doing is snipping off these zip ties that run along the frame. I think there's probably 5 or 6 of them. I don't know how many I put, but Logan's getting that one in the back.
Hey Alex, we're gonna need bigger snips.
Those are trash, dude.
Huh?
Those little ones are trash.
I got the one barely.
And I'll talk about this truck a little bit. I can show you guys the paint job in a little while, but I was gonna do a video of us painting it, but I did not have enough time, and honestly it ended up being a way bigger undertaking than I originally planned. We did 2 coats of primer. We did, I think, 4 coats of black and 3 coats of clear, I think was what the final count was. So a lot of work went into it, but I'll show you guys that a little bit up close, or a little bit closer after we get this harness out and move along. So I'm gonna cut all these zip ties along the frame. I'm using my knife, I'm just gonna be careful. There you go. Done. See it there?
Yep, I got it.
So I'll pull through when you're ready.
You just need a knife to cut this one.
Start pretty good. This is all that harness is at the back. All it is your red and black for your power, and then you've got white and green with a separate plug. So you've got one red, one black plug, and then white and green is for your vibrator. So that's all it is, and that harness, like I said, ran up into the cab over here to this controller here. So we'll pull all that out, and then you have one wire going to the ignition. That's about all she wrote, and then we'll be installing it in his truck.
Unless there's anything else coming through it. If any more zip ties, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it. I think there's another zip tie. Alright, I'll check.
Got it?
It's coming to you, yeah. Clear, clear.
Still in great shape. They're good spreaders. I know we're going to have to make the jump eventually, so I might as well get it over with. You want to start taking that control, I'm thinking of heat. Unplug that controller and pull it through.
Yeah, I got you.
Firewall that's built, and then the size 10 millimeter for the back. I got some of those little purple gloves up here.
It's going away?
It's all gone.
Really?
My phone says nothing. There was a chance Wednesday, and then there was another chance Friday and Saturday, and it's all gone.
Alright, well that's all. Those are unhooked, man.
Got fish. And it's the gray one, the bigger plug.
Yeah.
Fish that this way, up to where it comes through.
Get it?
Yep, got that. Now do the other one.
Alright.
So you can take that bracket and pull it out. Go to some lunch.
Huh?
Way out of town, go grab some lunch.
Yeah, I was gonna see if you want to.
Mexican place right there.
Oh, dude, I've had Mexican like last 3 days. I eat it every day. No, not cool. Is it good?
Then they got one special for $8. Yeah, lunch and shit.
Which one is it? Tequilas? Oh yeah, that place is super good.
All right, guys, so just like that, we're done. It only took us about 10 or 15 minutes. But here's our controller. Most controllers are the same or similar at least. And you've got 3 different connections. This one, which goes to an ignition, which I recommend getting a fuse tap and using that for this part of it, but I'll show you that in just a second if you don't know what a fuse tap is. And then you've got your main harness here. This is the one, this black plug goes to the battery. And then this is the harness for that. So you've got red and black that go to the battery right here. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then you've got your black plug that plugs right into the back of this controller. So that's how your controller gets its power. And then you've got this gray plug here, which plugs into the back of this controller. And then this harness, much longer, but this runs to the back of the spreader, and this is that first harness that I showed you. So very, very simple. Really, you just plug a couple things in, tie into your battery, and tie into your fuse box. And I'll show you that fuse tap real quick. Was there a wire, a red wire going up in here?
Yes, hanging down there to everything.
You might not need it since you had a plow or had a spreader in yours before. I don't know how you tied it into your ignition.
I just have that
That's
in
how
my
I did
ignition.
it. Super easy, and then your fuse is in your fuse box.
Yeah, I had nothing to it.
All right, guys, so this is what we use when we have to tie anything into an ignition. It's called a fuse tap, and this is what it looks like. It's got 2 fuses. See if I can get it to focus in on here. It's got 2 fuses in it, and it's got a part that actually goes into your fuse. So what you'll do is go into your fuse box with your micro fuses, take one out that you know is connected to the ignition, so you know whenever you turn your key, it's going to get power. You don't want this thing to be able to get power whenever your truck's off in case you leave it on or whatever. So make sure that this can't be on unless your truck's on. But get yourself a fuse tap like this. So you'll take one of your fuses out of your box, you stick this prong in there, and then you'll take that fuse and another of the same amperage and put those 2 in here. That way now you've got one that's going to run just like it did before through your truck, and then the other fuse is going to control what is now your salt spreader ignition wire. And then that, I just put a clip on there or a plug on there, female plug, and then the controller has a male plug. So you plug that in and then run it into your fuse box, and voila, you've got ignition power. You can get these at O'Reilly's, and it'll just come with a short wire with this blue piece already on it. So it comes basically with what you see here, and then you add your wire however much length you may need. I added way more than I needed, but add some wire to it and then put your plug on there that'll mate up to your salt spreader. So real quick, while Logan's pulling his truck in, I'll show you guys our paint job here. Don't judge me on this. I'm not a painter. As I said in my previous video, this was kind of a trial and error situation. This was a Harbor Freight paint gun and Tractor Supply paint. So I think it turned out pretty darn good. Originally, I was not gonna clear it, but I ended up doing so. In doing so, I got a couple of runs here. But all in all, it turned out pretty good. I wish it was a little bit harder. There's still some spots where you can kind of stick your nail or stick something sharp and you can get below the surface of that clear. But that clear is going to help it shine, and it's going to help it be able to be washed off. So I'm happy with how it turned out. It was super ugly before. If you don't know what it looked like, if this is your first time ever watching one of our videos, go back one video and you'll see the prep work we did on this and how that was looking before we painted it. So all in all, turned out pretty good. But we're taking this wiring off of an 05 3500 and putting it on, what year is this?
2009.
A 2009 2500, but it's pretty much the same process. Just gonna have a few different mounting locations, most likely, but basically the exact same. So first thing we'll do is start running these two main harnesses. We'll run those into the cab. We'll try to find some kind of hole in the firewall. Usually where you'll have a, yeah, right down there where that rubber hole is, that's where you already have some wires coming in, so you can either drill a hole or cut a little hole in that, feed it through there. You can probably use right there. That's a lot higher, so that's going to be harder. So we'll probably sneak them in where that main hole is down there. Some trucks you may have to drill a hole. I've had to drill a hole before in some of my trucks, but if you can find a way to get them in without drilling a hole, definitely do that. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So we'll run the two plugs that need to go into the spreader into the cab right there, and then we'll bring two of them over here to the battery and then run everything else out back. We got the wire in back there. We got both of them inside the yeah, come look at this wire.
Alright.
They had that just shoved under here.
Huh. Yeah.
Definitely not how it's supposed to be.
That's what those guys when they installed it.
Where was it?
Caldwell Equipment. I called them the other day about this, trying to get one of these, you know.
They did a great job installing this.
I called them about getting one of these, you know, and they didn't know nothing.
That spreader?
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm looking to buy a spreader. I don't want to buy a V-box, but I want to buy something that can hold a good amount. Because you said look for this one, so I looked at TGS 07. It's like $2 grand for a new one.
Yeah, and I heard those suck.
Really?
Yeah, I've not heard good things about those new ones. These old ones, this is the TGS 05B, but these are the ones, dude. You get the right controller, and if you put a vibrator on it, they don't come factory with the vibrator. Yeah. That's where a lot of people are like, oh, I want a vibrator, I'm not getting that one. Or if you don't have a vibrator, the salt gets stuck in there, they're too wide. So I got my vibrators on Amazon. I'll leave a link down in the description for anybody who's looking for one. But
yeah, I've never had a vibrator on there, but it's probably nice. You got to shake the.
You'll be like, how? Like the other day, I had a couple of wet bags. If you have wet bags and no vibrator, you ain't even putting them in.
Yeah, you'd have to go back there and shake it. Which you can't shake a 800-pound salter, but you can on the little guys.
Right. No shaking with this guy. And like if it's bad, if it keeps sticking up on you, just run the vibrator. Just keep it running for that load. But some people run with these spreaders run bulk salt, and they load it in with a skid loader, make little special hoppers.
Yeah.
Or like ways to get the salt in there. Bulk salt's way more.
That's what I was talking to that guy, Gamma Dinger guy, about. He said he's been trying to get his dad to run V boxes, but he don't want to load it with the.
Yeah, they won't use their skid loader. That's kind of where I was at, but I've come to the reality I'm gonna have to do it eventually, so might as well just get it over with. It's amazing how much more space there is under the engine compartment of a gas truck than a diesel.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go back to gas
We're getting
trucks.
there, man. I got 3 more zip ties.
Take your time. I still gotta hook this battery up.
This is it's nasty work underneath this stuff.
Oh yeah, watch your eyes.
You just said that. You just said that, and it just came all of my.
Hard to clean underneath the pickup, unless you get one of those special power washers. Dude, I just ordered this this interior cleaner thing. It's like this gun that it has like a little reservoir, and you put like a little bit of cleaning solution in there.
Yeah.
And then the gun hooks up to your air compressor, and it sprays out the cleaning solution and that air, and it's like to get in all the cracks and crevices of your interior.
Yeah.
And like you could do your engine bay with it and all that. I'm so excited. You can put like hot water in there.
Uh-huh.
This is a long install.
Huh?
So this is a long install, and we've only been working on it for about 20 minutes. If I was you, I'd go back to your shop and put that other one on right now.
What's that?
Put that other spreader on right now and get it over with.
Well, I'm hoping I don't even have to do all this. Should just be able to
Oh,
plug it in.
plug it in, yeah. Yeah, if that wire harness is the exact same,
Should be.
that'd be pretty sweet.
The only thing that won't be hooked up is the vibrator.
Oh yeah, you will have to run that other harness to get the vibrator. Unless, I don't know, some of the little ones might have that harness.
No, I have the option and the plug's there.
If the plug's on the back, then you're good.
Yeah, it should work.
If you have that little green and white wire, then you're in business.
All right, turn it on.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's supposed to light up.
Yep. Oh, we gotta do that ignition.
Okay.
Pop that over.
All my trucks besides that new F-350.
All right, so real quick, I'll show you how that wire goes in here. It's kind of dark, but you take out one of your fuses and you slide that in. I showed you this earlier, but slide that in just like your fuse goes and make sure there's 2 in the slots. And then when it comes time to picking which one you're going to use, I always use an auxiliary. So like right there it says 16 auxiliary power. There was another one, so that's the one we used. And then 2 auxiliary power. So anytime it's auxiliary or something to do with a light, you should be good. So anything like that, anything that's going to come on whenever you turn your key, you should be in good shape. But look for the aux if you can, and that is always a great place to go. And then this just makes it a lot easier because you can stick that right there. We just ran that wire right below here, and then it ties into the spreader or the controller right there. So zip tie some of that out of the way, clean that up, but should be ready to rock and roll. We'll put the spreader on now and make sure everything's good. So I'm not sure what happened here at the end. We were recording everything of the spreader working and it's just really blurry. I didn't want to delete the footage. I still wanted to show you guys, but excuse the poor quality here, but here it is. Almost forgot to show you guys it working. I went into the Mexican place, had some lunch, but here she is. Everything works like it should. Simple install. Hit the vibrator. On a spreader like this, vibrator really helps because the sides aren't very steep, so salt will get built up there. But you put that vibrator on it, it doesn't stand a chance. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you're looking to install a salt spreader or even a snow plow, hopefully this was somewhat helpful for you. A snow plow is basically the same thing. You've got some wires running to the battery, back to your controller, and then you've got some wires running from your controller up to your plow. So essentially the same thing. There is definitely more wires, but you're running a less distance. But all in all, they're pretty similar. So if you're looking to install one of those two, hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, let us know down in the comments. Give it a big thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one.